It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chilliefalls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to the Travel and Cruise Industry Podcast, coming to you from Nassau in the Bahamas. A beautiful day here in the Bahamas. I hope to get out ashore this afternoon, but we've got a real early callback. It's like 2:32 or 2:30 or something, so I'm not going to have a whole lot of time, but maybe to get out and shoot a little film and find me a pina colada. I talked to the assistant captain this morning. It wasn't the captain, but I did find out that we're sailing with 4,700 guests. So the ship's only about 80% full. Seems like more than that, but I mean, still, that's a pretty big number. Next week it's going to be 5,300, so they'll be closer to full next week. The ship holds 6,000 when it's full. So it's going to be even busier next week, but that's okay. So anyway, glad you guys are with me. Welcome aboard. We've got quite a few news stories this morning. This, by the way, is the Travel and Cruise Industry Podcast on the 13th day of February, brought to you by Will U.S., the owner of Scoot Around by Chillie's Cruises. All right, the lead story today, and I had trouble coming up deciding what to make the lead story this morning, but I ended up with major changes reshape the U.S. national parks. Also today, we got MSC skip support for the second time. Legend of the Seas chief dog officer. They don't know who the captain's going to be, but they know who the dog's going to be. I like that way of thinking. A harbor pilot falls overboard near Emerald Princess in Kauai. A man dies after jumping from the Costa, Smeralda. Sommer out, Chidsey in. Got some thoughts on that one. A 2.5-year sentence for a man who robbed a cruise guest. A 5-star restaurant at sea. And Norwegian Encore guests alerted to disease exposure. And lots more live here at 11 o'clock this morning. Today is National Tortellini Day. I can deal with that. All kinds of Italian stuff on the menu here today. I don't know if there's actually any tortellini, but we do have some Italian stuff on the menu for dinner tonight. This day in history, in 1837, riots in New York break out due to the cost of flour. The Flour Wars of 1837. I don't remember that one. I'm old, but I'm not quite that old. If you're a podcast person, you can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from. If you're not checking on my podcast, folks, you really need to do that. I'm getting some tremendous numbers on the podcast now. It's actually overtaken on the blog, it's actually overtaken the numbers on the podcast. So you want to take a look at that. I just posted a piece that I've been working on and off for about a month. I think it's pretty good, pretty good piece. There's Kenneth. Hi, Kenneth.
Hey, sir.
Have a little audience here this morning. I'm broadcasting from the steakhouse again on the Grandiosa. It's most, of course, a lot of people are off the ship this morning. But like I say, we got to get back on early, which I didn't really care for that. So
Chillie, you
Yes.
can advertise this show as live in front of a studio audience.
Yes, I can. We have an audience here. We got Tom and Cindy and John and Kenneth today. Gary, I don't know if Gary's gone ashore yet or not. He was talking about going ashore. So, all right, so that takes care of the headlines for today. So we'll get to the stories, folks, after a quick break from one of our fine network sponsors. Don't go away. I'll be right back. All right, so let's get it started today. Like I say, we're going to start off with where did it go? The story disappeared. All right, I'll go looking for the story after we do a second story. So nothing like screwing up right on the fly.
MSC Splendida has cancelled its scheduled call to La Goulette, Tunisia, on February 12, 2026, due to strong winds, marking the second weather-related cancellation at the port in just over a month. The 3,900 guest ship will spend February 12 at sea instead, with Palma de Mallorca added as an alternate port on February 13. MSC Cruises said the change was made for safety reasons as winds of up to 50 knots, around 57 miles per hour, were forecast, making docking unsafe and potentially uncomfortable for guests and crew. This situation is due to reasons beyond our control. We thank you for your understanding, the cruise line said in a notice to passengers. MSC Splendida previously skipped La Goulette on January 8, 2026, due to similar hazardous weather, highlighting ongoing challenges for Mediterranean itineraries during winter sailings.
Roughly a year after sweeping National Park Service layoffs and controversial policy changes, advocates say America's national parks are undergoing significant but often unnoticed transformations affecting staffing, historical interpretation, and land management. Park groups report that interpretive content has been revised or removed at some sites following executive orders directing agencies to review diversity programs and historical messaging. The Interior Department says the National Park Service is operating under existing laws and policies and denies any coordinated effort to erase history, while conservation groups argue the changes risk sanitizing the past. Staffing has also dropped sharply, with advocacy organizations estimating the Park Service has lost about 25% of its full-time workforce over the past year. Critics warn fewer rangers and scientists could impact research, visitor safety, and resource protection, though interior officials say parks remain open and accessible. Meanwhile, debates over land management continue, particularly around national monuments and potential energy development on public lands. Legal opinions and policy directives have renewed questions about whether monument boundaries could be reduced or opened to resource extraction, raising concerns about impacts on wildlife, water quality, and nearby national parks. Advocates say visitors may not immediately notice these shifts, but they could have long-term consequences for how parks are staffed, interpreted, and protected.
Deal of the day, 7-night cruise on the MSC Seascape sailing March 29th, with stops in Cozumel, Costa and Roatan, Honduras. Prices start at $389 per person. For information and booking, call Chillie at 434-258-9264. Michael Bailey has announced Royal Caribbean's third chief dog officer's name as skipper. The female golden retriever puppy was born in early February 2026. Skipper will serve on board Legend of the Seas and will join the vessel in Europe. A routine harbor transfer turned into an emergency on February 10, when a harbor pilot fell into the ocean while attempting to board Emerald Princess off Kauai. Passengers reported the Princess Cruises ship was preparing to enter port when the pilot slipped while climbing a rope ladder from a pilot boat. A "man overboard" announcement was made immediately, with witnesses saying the pilot had struggled to board amid rough seas and fell roughly 10 to 20 feet from the ship's hull. The pilot boat's crew quickly retrieved him from the water, pulling him back on board within minutes. He did not appear to be injured, according to video shared by passengers. Following the incident, the Kauai port call was cancelled, and the ship continued to Maui as scheduled for February 11th. Princess Cruises had not issued a public statement at the time of reporting, though the cruise line typically refunds prepaid shore excursions when a port is missed.
A tragic incident occurred when an adult male guest died after apparently jumping from Costa Smeralda while the ship was docked in Civitavecchia, the port for Rome. Local responders, including firefighters and the ship's medical team, attempted to assist the man after an estimated 98-foot fall, but he could not be saved. Italian port police and the Coast Guard investigated and concluded the act was likely deliberate. Costa Cruises confirmed the death of a German guest and said the company and the ship's captain are cooperating fully with authorities and providing support to the guest's family. The ship remained in port until around 8:30 p.m. during the investigation.
Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings today announced that its board of directors has appointed John W. Chidsey, a director of NCLH, as president and chief executive officer, effective immediately. Chidsey succeeds Harry Sommer, who is stepping down as president and chief executive officer and as a director of NCLH. Sommer had stepped into the role in early 2023 following the retirement of Frank Del Rio.
I have some thoughts on this. I never got to meet Harry Sommer. But it seemed like he was doing an adequate job. I didn't see anything grossly different.
No,
However,
the board must not have been happy with his lack of increasing the stock price.
yeah, Tom says he thinks it's the board unhappy with the stock prices. But I know nothing about Chidsey other than, he was a sub guy. Does that make him qualify for running a ship? Subway subs, not
And Burger King.
Burger King. So maybe we're going to hold the pickles on cruise ships now. I don't know. Anyway, I put out some feelers to try to find a bottom line to that. I have not been able to get any further information other than the canned news story that came out.
You like right length?
Cruise around the world with the Will Model C2. That's the chair that I use. Our chairs will easily fit through accessible cabin doors and can navigate those tight spaces and crowded places. To see if Will may be right for you, click on the link below to schedule a test drive. Just tell them to use code Chillie for all your mobility needs. That's scootaroundstore.com.
A repeat offender has been sentenced to prison for violently robbing a British cruise passenger in downtown St. John's, Antigua. Chief Magistrate Nio Emanuel handed 33-year-old.
Roughly a year after sweeping National Park Service layoffs and controversial policy changes, advocates.
Sorry about that, folks. We got crossed up again. I cut that story off on the fencing. I'm going to go back and do that again. My bad.
A repeat offender has been sentenced to prison for violently robbing a British cruise passenger in downtown St. John's, Antigua. Chief Magistrate Nio Emanuel handed 33-year-old Junior Emanuel a 30-month sentence after he admitted attacking an elderly visitor who had recently disembarked a cruise ship. The robbery occurred on November 29, 2025, along Charles Henry Lane near the Cathedral Church, a popular tourist area. Emanuel approached the woman from behind, forcefully yanked her fanny pack, snapping the strap and knocking her to the ground, before fleeing with her passport, cell phone, and cash. He was arrested on December 1, 2025, and has remained in custody since. Time already served will be credited toward his sentence.
Celebrity Cruises has become the first major cruise line in history to earn a Forbes Travel Guide 5-star rating for a restaurant at sea, marking a major milestone for the global cruise industry. The recognition was awarded to La Voyage, the signature fine dining venue aboard Celebrity Excel, created in partnership with the famous chef Daniel Boulud. Recent and current guests aboard Norwegian Encore are being notified of 2 cases of Legionnaire's disease linked to a December 2025 sailing, though the exact voyage has not been disclosed. Norwegian Cruise Line said the 2 affected passengers were diagnosed after their cruise. The line is working with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and conducting precautionary Legionella testing as part of the agency's standard investigation. Water sources across the ship, including hot tubs, showers, and faucets, are being tested. So far, all results have been negative, and additional testing remains ongoing under CDC monitoring. The cruise line noted it is not yet known whether the guests were exposed on board or elsewhere. According to the CDC, Legionnaire's disease is a serious form of pneumonia that can cause coughing, fever, headaches, and muscle aches, with older adults and those with weakened immune systems at higher risk.
Celebrate Valentine's Day with savings on mobility devices site-wide heart. Give yourself or a loved one the gift of enhanced mobility this Valentine's Day. Until Sunday, February 15th, you can save 14% on all the products you love, including the latest mobility scooters, wheelchairs, and power chairs. Use code VALENTINES14 or SRN11137 to get 14% off. Shop online or call 1-844-664-7467.
All right, that's going to put an end to the news portion of today's show. Coming to you from Nassau in the Bahamas. Let's go see if anybody is in the chat room listening to us today. Okay, Joanne's with us. Says good morning and happy Friday. There's Mike on the other side of the pond. Says good morning to everyone. Gretchen's with us out in Ohio. Mike says enjoy your time ashore and your pina colada. Now that's I do have my place here that I regularly go for pina coladas. I've done that at both the ports that I got off. I went in search of a pina colada. And they're not cheap anymore. I used to have places throughout the Caribbean where I could get a reasonably priced one. I paid $19 for the first one I had this week and $15 for the second. $15 was closer to normal pricing. So we'll see what the prices have gone to here in Nassau. I'm a bit concerned that I have to be back on the ship so quick. So by the time I get the show processed and just have, an hour and 15 minutes, could be a little dicey. So we'll see. I think we're back here next week anyway on the Sunday and a half. Sunday. So we're just back in a couple days.
And we're here longer.
Yeah. Gretchen says hello to Mike. There's Todd. Good morning, Todd. Says good morning to everyone. Mike says, Gretchen, you can call me Mike. There's Sonny. Hi, Sonny, down in Mississippi. Talking about you again last night, Sonny. There's Steve out in Kentucky. Says good morning to everyone. Katie's with us today. Hope you're feeling better, Katie. Katie was a little under the weather. So, glad you all enjoying yourselves. Unfortunately, I'm home with a sinus infection, so you're still puny. Sorry, Katie. There's Roger. Roger in Jacksonville have not packed yet. Well, you're starting to run out of time, Roger. You need to get on with that one. So, because we're getting close here now. So, as far as enjoying ourselves, yes, we are. I will tell you this. We were talking about this a little bit, Cindy, John and I, before we went on the air. I am struggling a bit on energy and feeling like doing stuff that I normally would do. Like I have not done hardly any filming on the ship itself. And this is a huge ship with lots of things to film. And I just have not had the gumption to go out and get it done. So I struggled a little bit driving down to Port Canaveral too. I guess the 6 months or so that I was under the weather is taking more of a toll on me than I expected. But anyway, I'm still having a good time. Don't get me wrong. I have had more chocolate martinis this week, I think, than I ever had in my life. That's just something that's tasted good to me. So I've had one or two. Maybe 3 or 4. Or 5 or 6. Sonny says, Katie, hope you feel better soon. I agree. When does your second cruise? Oh, wait, where'd that go? When does your second cruise start? Tomorrow. We're in Nassau today. We go back to Port Canaveral and flip-flop. Most of us are staying. Roger and Eve are coming on to join us. John is the only one that had to book 2 different rooms. So he's had to do he's been dealing with guest services. He was down there again this morning on, when he'll be getting his new key and all that business. And then he'll have to join us at 10 o'clock tomorrow to get off the ship. The ship has to go to a 0 count. And then they turn around, probably walk us through photo recognition software and right back on the ship. So if the time's right, we go literally off, turn around and come right back on. So hopefully they'll have it timed right. So that we do that, and then of course Roger and Eve will come on the normal schedule. So Sonny says no energy, must not have enough adult beverages. Well, that could be. Maybe I need to drink more.
You know what it is, Chillie?
What?
Because the Bloody Marys are crap here.
That's
you
true.
Need your Bloody Marys to get up that vegetable.
I have not been able to get my vegetable levels up where they're supposed to be because the Bloody Marys on this ship are awful. It's just awful. So, but the food's been good. So, and all the other drinks have been good. But I don't know what I think it's the Bloody Mary mix they're using or something. It's just terrible. Joanne says, Chillie, you got to pass with your health, and sister, it's okay. I appreciate that. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap me up for today and for this week. I will try to do some pop-ups this weekend as we get flipped over to next week's cruise and get to do it all over again. And hopefully I'll have a little more energy. So we'll see. All right, guys. That's going to wrap it up for today. Don't forget, smash that thumbs up button. If you have not subscribed, please consider doing so. You might notice if you watch my totals, we've had a little steady movement upward lately, which is nice. My blog numbers have gone through the roof, which is wonderful. I haven't gotten any updates on the podcast recently. I haven't had time to get Jason to run those numbers for me. So I'm assuming the podcast is staying where it's been, so that's good as well. All right, that's it for today, guys. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising. Hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. Have a great day, everybody. See you next time.
Chillie has left the building.
If I can get. I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships,
ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. Hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chilliescruises.